What's up guys, it's Erratic here, and today we're going to be going over how to play the new Demon Hunter spec, Devourer, in PvP. Devour Demon Hunter is a fast, explosive PvP spec built entirely around getting into Void Metamorphosis as quickly as possible, unloading an absurd burst window, then exiting Void Meta as quickly as possible to set up the next one. If you've been queuing arenas lately in World of Warcraft, you've probably already seen Devourers deleting people in a single global chain. This guide explains exactly why that happens and how to do it yourself. This is not meant to be a full Demon Hunter fundamentals guide, rather the goal here is to give you the core gameplay loop, the important talents that enable the one-shot, a clean opener and rotation, and some general practical PvP advice so that you can start winning games immediately. Before we start, I'd like to mention that there is a full written guide which I'll leave down in the description. And with that out of the way, let's go over the talents. I'm not going to go over every talent in detail, but this is the build I'm running, and I will leave the export string in the description of this video. We will go over some of the important talents later, though. As far as PvP talents, these are the three I would recommend running pretty much at all times, and we'll go over these in more detail as well, but the three PvP talents are Armor of Souls, Beckon, and Glimpse. As far as stat priority, because this is pre-patch, I'm not going to spend the time trying to min-max and figure out exactly what stats you need. I've basically just been running my Havoc stats, and really what you're looking for is Mastery over Versatility over Haste over Crit. Our Mastery just increases our cosmic damage dealt, both in and out of Void Metamorphosis, and that's where a lot of our damage is going to be coming from. Everything about Devour Demon Hunter kind of circles around Void Metamorphosis. With the spec that we're playing, we will be able to enter Void Metamorphosis once we have 35 souls. This talent right here, figure out where it's at here, Entropy, will passively cause you to get up to 25 souls while out of combat. So at the start of every arena, you'll be at 25 souls, and you'll work to getting your first Void Metamorphosis pretty quickly once you get 35 souls. Once you do go into Void Meta, this is where the burst really comes into play because of our hero talent. Void Surge will make our Void Metamorphosis empower our Void Blade, Hungering Slash, and with this last talent, the Hunt as well. When you hit with these abilities, the first time you're in a Void Metamorphosis, they will cause a Void Surge to go out as well, causing a lot of cosmic damage. We've got tons of talent modifiers that increase the damage of Void Blade, Hungering Slash, and the Hunt. Our Mastery increases cosmic damage, which Void Surge is. With that being said, though, after the first use of these three abilities, you're basically going to be done with that metamorphosis, so you're going to want to exit it as quickly as possible so you can start building up souls again to get into your next Void meta. To go over a couple of the important talents in the tree, the first one I'd like to talk about is Moment of Craving. After you fully channel a Void Ray, the cooldown of Reap is reset, and your next Reap will collect up to 6 additional soul fragments. Void Ray is going to be our biggest soul generator. I want to say it generates about 10 souls over the course of the cast. And after you finish that, your Reap, which normally picks up only 4 souls, will pick up to 10 souls if you have them around you. So using Void Ray on cooldown is going to be important, and then using Reap right after is generally pretty good. We're going to have kind of a melee combo that we'll want to use on cooldown. The Hunt will turn Void Blade into Hungering Slash, which is this ability over here, which does cosmic damage, generates some fury, and some soul fragments. So you're going to want to use the Hunt on cooldown and Void Blade on cooldown, because both of those will turn Void Blade into Hungering Slash. So without going into too much detail, I'll use the melee combo when you have everything up is going to be the Hunt into Hungering Slash into Void Blade into another Hungering Slash, because both of those abilities turn Void Blade into Hungering Slash. That'll get you some fury, and it'll get you some souls. Once you use this combo, after you use Hungering Slash, you will get a temporary Vengeful Retreat that you can use without putting your Vengeful Retreat on cooldown. Another important talent is going to be this one down here, Devourer's Bite. Damage from Void Blade and the Hunt increases the damage your target takes from you by 12% for 10 seconds. multiple applications can overlap. So that means when you use Hunt and Void Blade, you're going to get a 24% damage increase to the target for 10 seconds. We kind of talked about this in the intro, but Soul Glutton will make it to where you can get into Void Metamorphosis with 35 souls instead of 50, and your Fury will drain 25% faster while in Void Metamorphosis, which is actually a good thing because we don't want to stay in Void Metamorphosis after we use our one-shot combo. To talk a little bit more on the PvP talents, Armor of Souls will increase our armor by 50%, and taking damage has a chance to generate a soul fragment. So if you ever think you're going to be a kill target, which I think Devour Demon Hunters are generally a little bit squishy in the current pre-patch meta, you'll be generating more soul fragments, and just the extra armor will obviously help. Beckon is important because it will cause your Reap to cause your next Consume to be an instant cast. When you look at your damage breakdown, Consume will actually be your largest damage behind your one-shot stuff. Consume does a lot of damage, but if you get interrupted on Consume, it's super punishing to the spec. It basically shuts down your damage for 5 seconds. So having this PvP talent allows your Reap to cause your next Consume to be instant cast. So we'll go over the rotation a little bit more here in a little bit, but you're basically just going to want to rotate between Reap and Consume when you don't have other things to press as your filler. All right, so I have 30 souls already. So this is not going to be the perfect arena opener, but usually you're going to start out with 25 souls, and this is going to be your general opener when you go into the arena. We want to use Soul Immolation twice. Soul Immolation is going to give you some Fury and Shatter 3 soul fragments over 5 seconds. So we're really just trying to build up to our first Void Metamorphosis as quickly as possible. So we're going to Soul Immolation twice. We're going to use the Hunt in on our target, Hungering Slash, Void Blade, Hungering Slash, and then I generally Vengeful Retreat out to get a little bit of distance. Then I'm going to use Reap to kind of gather up those souls, and then I'll use a Consume. Usually I'll have enough Fury by that time to cast a Void Ray, and then I'll cast another Reap to collect souls. And by that time, you should for sure have 35 souls to enter your Void Metamorphosis. It happened a little bit quicker for me here because I started at 30 souls, but generally that's where I see the first Void Metamorphosis ready to be used. The Void Metamorphosis combo is super simple. We're just going to go into Void Metamorphosis. It turns your Hunt into Predator's Wake. So you're going to use Predator's Wake, Reaper's Toll, which is Hungering Slash, Pierce the Veil, and then Reaper's Slash again. And then again, I will generally Vengeful Retreat out to gain some distance. And then you're just kind of going over like a basic priority. You don't want to extend your Void Metamorphosis longer than you need to. So this would be a good time to like help peel for your teammates, maybe send some CC. You don't necessarily want to be generating souls and reaping them. I will generally use a Void Ray right after the one-shot combo just because it's some extra damage right there. But when you use Void Ray when you're in Metamorphosis, it's going to slow the Fury drain. So I would say after your first Void Ray, you would probably not try to send it again while you're in Void Metamorphosis. Some important things to note: you do not want to use Soul Immolation while you're in Void Metamorphosis because you're generating Fury and souls that you could otherwise be using outside of Void Meta to build up your next Void Metamorphosis. And then we kind of already talked about it, but I would not use Void Ray other than right after the one-shot combo the first time while in Void Meta, just because it extends your Void Meta longer than you probably want to use it. When you're outside of Void Meta and you're not doing your, initial opener, the priority is going to basically be to use Void Ray if you have the Fury for it. Right after Void Ray, you're going to cast a Reap and then Consume. You want to use Soul Immolation on cooldown. That's just going to give you Fury and souls. You're going to want to use the Hunt and the Hunt Void Blade both to trigger a Hungering Slash and then use those Hungering Slashes. And then once you're kind of out of all those things, you will just alternate between Reap and Consume just to generate souls and collect them. If you're just completely out of all of those options, you can hard cast Consume, but again, you want to kind of watch out to not be interrupted while you're hard casting Consume because it basically completely shuts down the spec for, whatever their lockout is. All right, for macros, there's a couple that I would suggest. Shift is our new mobility. It basically just teleports you. It's like a blink, but you can select where it goes with a radial button. if I were to use shift normally, let me pull it onto my bars here really quick. So if I would use shift normally, it would put out a reticle and then I would have to click. To avoid that extra click, I would really suggest putting shift onto an @cursor macro. And it's very simple, just show tooltap slash cast @cursor shift. And that will just allow you to hit the button and you get teleported to your mouse location. Very important. And then basically the same thing with Sigil of Fear, or Sigil of Misery, sorry. That's going to be like one of our biggest CCs, which will fear the target. I'm not even sure how long it's going to be in PvP. A couple seconds. But that will basically just allow you, it's an @cursor macro as well, and it will just allow you to move your mouse where you want it to be, hit the button, and you're not having to do that extra click. I would also suggest having either @focus or arena 1, 2, 3 macros for banish and not fell eruption, void nova. It's important to remember that void nova can be used at 30-yard range now, and it stuns your target and all nearby enemies. I don't know what the range is on that nearby enemies. I'm guessing it's probably like melee range, but you can use it at 30 yards. And so just like as a general tip in arena, you want to use that on the healer right before you do your Void Metamorphosis combo. And then the same thing for banish or imprison. Sorry, I have them named banish, but it's imprison. I would do either @focus or @arena 1, 2, 3 macros for those two things. And that really covers it. I might go over the rotation one more time after my final thoughts. My final thoughts though are that this spec is very burst heavy, and then outside of that burst you're basically doing no damage. So you're trying to get back into Void Metamorphosis as quickly as possible every time. It's very punishing if you get interrupted, and it's very momentum based. So you just want to, get into void meta, exit, get into void meta, exit. Usually by the second or third time, the game's over, but it could last longer. And so, yeah, if you master building souls efficiently, using Void Metamorphosis and the combo on, the correct kill target, and then exiting and repeating as quickly as possible, you will start running over people in arenas pretty quickly. Before we go, I'm going to go over the combo one more time. I want to get back out to like basically the start. So let me lose this void meta really quick, and I can kind of run you through an entire rotation. All right, so we're in a state that we would basically be in at the start of any arena. We're already at 25 souls. So as soon as the gates open, I'm going to soul immolate, gonna hunt, hungering slash, void blade, hungering slash, back out. I'm gonna cast reap, consume. I'll have a void ray. I'll cast that void ray. We'll cast reap. That should put us at 35 souls. I'm gonna go void meta. We're gonna hunt, hungering slash, void blade, hungering slash, and then back up again. We'll hit the void ray for some extra damage. We'll go ahead and reap and then consume. And then I'm just gonna kind of cast consume until I'm out of void meta. And now that we're out of void meta again, I'm going to hit immolation, reap, consume, reap, consume, consume. We've got a void ray. We're going to hit void ray, reap, consume, reap, consume, hungering slash, or void blade, hungering slash, back out. We've got another void ray, reap, consume, reap. We've got another soul immolation. We hit that, consume, another void ray, reap. And now we've got void meta up again, so we're gonna void meta, hunt, hungering slash, void blade, hungering slash, back out, void ray, and then I'm just gonna kind of not try to stay in metamorphosis longer than I need to. I'm just hard casting consume. I don't know honestly what the best option is here, because I don't think dead globals is a great option either. But now we've got 10 souls out on the battlefield that we can instantly reap, consume, use a soul immolation, reap, consume. Consume. We've got a free hunt. We'll hunt, hungering slash, void blade, hungering slash, backflip, void ray, reap, consume, void ray, reap, consume, and then we've got another void meta. We've seen this a bunch of times, but I'll do it one more time. Hunt, hungering slash, void blade, hungering slash, and then backflip, void ray. You don't have to throw in that backflip, but yeah, that's the basic rotation. Obviously, things happen a little bit differently in arenas, but hopefully that gets you started. If you liked this video, please make sure to leave it a like. Please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel, and we may keep it I plan on playing a lot of Devour in the actual season of Midnight. So, you know, we may try to update it once we're actually in the season. We've got Apex talents, tier set, and all that. But thanks for watching. I will see you guys in the arenas.